welcome back to my channel, MosexyKitchen. How you all doing today? Great, I hope. Awesome. Before I get started, I just want you all to please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button right below. Please. I need everybody to subscribe. Don't just watch. I see the view. I see you guys are watching, but I need you all to all subscribe. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You can also hit the notification button, and it will let you know as soon as I post videos. So today I have a special guest. So I'm not going to be doing any cooking today. I'm just going to be sitting down, asking the questions, and letting my brother, which is my guest, do the cooking. Today I have brother Tobi with me. He's my brother from another father and another mother. So, so I'm going to have him introduce himself before I go into our topic, and he's going to tell us what he's going to be cooking today. So over to you, brother Tobi.
All right. Thank you so much. Good day, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. So, whenever the weekend comes, I'm always really big about just cooking something simple, low maintenance. So I'm going to make my spicy barbecue Old Bay wings today. We're looking at a cook time of generally about, if you're using an oven, it's going to take you about an hour to an hour 20 minutes. But today we're going to use an air fryer. So with the air fryer, you're cutting that time in half. So at the most, we're looking at about 10 to 15 minutes for prep time, and then we're looking at about 20 to 30 minutes for the actual cook time. Awesome.
So do you want to introduce your ingredients to us?
Yes. So with our ingredients, of course, for chicken wings, you are going to need some chicken. So we're going to get you need some raw chicken wings. What I would always recommend, if you're buying them frozen, make sure you get them out of the freezer and thaw them out as much as possible to get all of that excess water out of there, because of course the oven and the air fryer will of course get rid of that water, but you want to try to use it. You want to have as less water on the wings as possible. Try to pat it down with a paper towel if need be. So we're going to be making the wings today out of just 3 simple ingredients. So we have Old Bay seasonings. For those of us who are from Maryland, our Marylanders, we all love Old Bay seasoning. And then just for a little kick, we're going to use some ground cayenne pepper. So I always recommend just some freshly ground cayenne pepper. And then last but not least, we have our barbecue sauce, which is going to really give this the kick and taste that that you're going to love and enjoy. And I am a personal fan of Sweet Baby Ray's, so we're going to go with this barbecue sauce.
Great.
All right.
So today's topic is going to be Black Lives Matters, and also all life matters. We're going to be talking about police brutality and the standpoint of Brother Tobi on these topics and what is going on and around us this day and age. So I hope you guys are ready. And remember, this is my YouTube channel. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. Brother Tobi is entitled to his opinion. So we're all just discussing and letting everybody know our perspective and our own opinion about things. So don't be offended. I always tell you, if you're on my page, you have to be open-minded and ready to listen, ready to learn, and I'm ready to learn from you. So don't forget to comment and put whatever you want to discuss, and we'll take it from there. So my Tobi is going to start preparing while I'm going to be sitting down right here and be asking the questions. So, brother Tobi.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. Just in the spirit of cleanliness and safety, I'm going to don't forget, folks, to wash your hands. So I'm going to quickly wash my hands before we get started. Try to remove excess jewelry. So I'm going to just want to get rid of these just for a moment. And in the spirit of, again, cleanliness and safety, don't forget, folks, to wash your hands. Alright, got our hands nice and washed and dried. Now we're ready to start cooking.
Great. So while Brother Tobi is getting all that ready, I'm going to ask a few questions before I get started. So Brother Tobi,
Yep.
Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Maryland, Cheverly, Maryland. I was raised in Hyattsville, Maryland. I'm a first-generation Nigerian. Both my parents are from Lagos, Nigeria, and I was born here.
Okay, great. So the reason why I asked the question is because I want this to be perspective of being American born, also having African or something background in you, so you can tell me how you feel about both ways. So how do you feel about the topic of Black Lives Matter?
So I think when it comes to the actual topic of Black Lives Matter, what we're looking at and what we're really discussing is is we're looking at a minority group that has been affected and mistreated in the sense of systemic racism. We've talked about police brutality. We've seen so many things on the news and the media, and there's so many things that have just been kind of overlooked or brushed under the rug. And I think right now, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, we're talking about a movement, a culture now, that now we're focusing on, okay, how do we really put emphasis on the fact that, hey, there are people out here that are dying. There are people out here that are being mistreated. There are people out here who, you know, aren't getting the same rights. And within the African American community, I think we're just raising a different level of awareness around Black lives.
That's great. That's great. So, with that said, what do you think is the difference between Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter?
All Lives Matter.
The thing I've heard about it is people feel like, okay, why are we putting more emphasis on being black? Why are we making people feel like we are different one way or the other? Why can't we say all lives matter instead of Black Lives Matter?
Because I think when we're saying Black Lives Matter, I think there's a misconception that there are a lot of people who are trying to say it's a form of dominance. We're not, and when we say all lives matter, we have to think about within that group, which group is being racially oppressed. Which group has died at the hands of police brutality more. So I think when, you know, African Americans and people in general who say Black Lives Matter, I think it gets confused with a lot of people who think that, well, Black lives are more superior or Black lives are better, and that has never been the case. Okay. So yes, all lives do matter, but when it comes to the specific topic of police brutality, systemic racism, you know, and we've seen it over and over in the news. We've seen this so much in the media. We are looking at one specific group that is seriously affected, and that's the message that we need to get out there. We have to get out of saying that, you know, we have to get out of people thinking that Black lives matter more, and that's not what anyone is saying.
Great. So having the background of being Nigerian, yes. So I have seen a few posts online whereby Nigerians in Nigeria are protesting and saying Black Lives Matter in Nigeria.
Yes.
Does this should this affect them in any way? Should they be protesting in Nigeria about something that is going on in America?
Well, I don't think that they shouldn't, speak out and have a voice. I think for so many years there have been small pockets of groups of different groups of African Americans who have been trying to get this message out there. So we looked at someone like Colin Kaepernick, who started kneeling, which was never against the flag, it was never against the military, and trying to create a message in which it was overlooked. So I think now when you're seeing so many Black Lives Matter protests across the world, I think it's just raising awareness, and showing support for people here in the United States. So and one thing we also have to keep in mind is racism exists, worldwide. Yes. It does happen, it happens in different ways in the United States, but we look at the UK, we look at we look at New Zealand, we look at all these other countries. Racism unfortunately still exists worldwide.
Great. All right. So now my next question is in regards to police brutality when it comes to being African American. So I have heard so much news about police brutality towards both male and female African Americans, but I feel like towards the male brings more spark, brings more attention, brings more, more zeal when it comes to our population and people talking about it. We have so much people that have been killed by police, which are females, we don't even hear much about it. Right. But when it comes to male, everybody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to protest about it. So what do you think? Why do you think there's more attention on male than female when it comes to police brutality?
I think that's a really good question, and it's unfortunate that, we have to put so much. I believe men and women, should have that same amount of attention. when it comes to raising the awareness. You know, the whys behind it, I feel that there's so many underlying issues, but I definitely think as a community we have to do better in terms of, you know, raising the awareness. We look at situations with Sandra Bland. We looked at just recently with Breonna Taylor, and we're still at a moment now where we're still saying, you know, her murderers have not been arrested.
Yes,
I think that we just, as a community, we have to remember the importance of black women. We are not a culture without black women, so we have to do better in raising that awareness. I think that when you looked at a situation like George Floyd, and then we looked at a situation with Breonna Taylor, both of them were very unfortunate incidents. But I think the fact that we got to a point with George Floyd, unfortunately, because it was captured on video, and most people at that time were at home, and the only thing we had to do was, you know, look at the news and look at social media. I think it had more of an impact in terms of people getting up and saying, you know, that's enough, because we're in the pandemic, and, you know, kind of our attention was just focused there. So I think that, you know, so unfortunately his death was, you know, recorded on video, and by no means am I saying that, you know, in order for something like this to have impact, that it should be recorded. But I think at the time that we saw the video of George Floyd dying, you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. You're at home, there's nowhere to go, and, you know, the entire world, there was nothing else to pay attention to except for that. So for those of us who were, you know, kind of stuck at home, there's nowhere to go, you're looking at it, and I think that was the difference between how the movement with the protests and everything started so much quicker with George Floyd versus, you know, Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor's, you know, case was something that, you know, we kind of heard, and because we had already been, you know, started protesting and everything like that, that's where we, you know, we said, hey, listen, we can't forget about these other people too. So I think it's unfortunate that we're at a point that, you know, her you know, attackers still have not been, you know, apprehended. But I think that if we continue to raise awareness, you know, you see people like Tamika Mallory, who is a very, very, very passionate activist. She's really been doing a good job of, you know, getting the voice out there.
Great, great. So, so far, what have you done with the chicken?
So, what we have so far is, and again, we're using just 3 ingredients. So, I went ahead and put a nice coat of Old Bay seasoning first. Then we kind of, you know, mix that around, mix it with your hands, or if you want to use like a mixing spoon, you can do that. And then our cayenne pepper. So, when it comes to the cayenne pepper, I just say you want to use, you know, your own level of spiciness in your mix. So, mix that really well. We've got it nice and coated, and, you know, the barbecue sauce will come last. So this is actually ready to go into the air fryer.
Okay, great, great. So I believe this video is gonna be like really long because the topic is quite interesting, and I think it's something that is affecting everybody in general. So this most likely will be a 2-part to the posting, so it will be 2 different postings. So most definitely, I want you to watch everything else while Brother Tobi is getting this into the air fryer. As soon as it gets into the air fryer, we're going to continue. So Brother Tobi, while you're putting it in the air fryer, you're going to tell us how many minutes it's going to be in the air fryer for.
Yes, and keep in mind when it comes to your air fryers, of course size may vary, so you want to keep in mind how much food you're actually putting inside of the air fryer. So with this amount of wings, I just kind of poured everything in. I kind of see here that I have a little bit more wings than I have space, so I'm going to kind of reduce this first. I'm going to take some of this out, and we're just going to kind of do it in batches.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and take this out, and then, and again, if you're cooking it in an oven, if you have a large baking dish, then you'll have more than enough room to get all the wings out there. So we have got our wings loaded into our air fryer basket. I'm going to throw that in there. So, and of course air fryers vary. So what we're going to do, because we don't want to overcook the wings, I'm going to go ahead and recommend 15 minutes of cook time, but we're going to leave it at about 370 degrees.
370, 15 minutes. So let's go back to our topic. So
Yes.
like we discussed and we said, I wanted to know your standpoint when it comes to going out each day and being pulled over by the police or the authority in general. I gave you a scenario is I was out of the country and I was called on the phone and said somebody called the cops on my brother, and the moment I heard that, I felt very uncomfortable, very sad. I didn't know what was going to happen next, what step I needed to take. All I knew was I kept blowing up his phone, making sure everything was okay.
Right.
And at some point, after everything got settled, everything is okay, then I sat down and I thought about it. I was like, why should I be scared of the authority? Are they not supposed to protect?
Mm-hmm.
So shouldn't I feel comfortable knowing that the cops are there and things like that? So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that when we think about these public positions, so we think about, you know, health and safety, we look at doctors, we look at police, things of that, firefighters, you know, our first thought should be that they're here to protect us. But unfortunately, you know, we have some police officers who do not act accordingly, and they do make it bad for the police, which makes us all very apprehensive. So I think that even though I think the way we should approach it is just try to remember that not everyone is bad. I'll be lying if I said that I don't get concerned when I'm driving and I see like a police car behind me. I mean, I have been pulled over recently within the last couple of years, and it was a very tense moment. But you know, I think that, you know, where we are right now, there's so much training now that's happening. There's a lot of reshuffling of police organizations. So I think that we just have to go with the positive mindset that we should, number one, remember our rights. We should remember what is legal and not legal when it comes to being pulled over or having your car searched. At the end of the day, you do want to try your best to, you know, follow every instruction that's been given to you.
So I went to high school. Some part of my high school was in the United States, and we do have a February Black History Month going on. So during those Black History Month, it's known for them to teach us about Black history, whatever might have gone on in the United States, done by the Black population. And according to that time, okay, actually between that time and now, I do see that it looks like the history has been watered down. Like it's not really, the things we are taught is not really that important anymore. Like it's not something that we think that is that, how do I say, it's legit, it's strong enough to have that in your memory for you to keep. I feel like what they might have taught me then is not something I would have found very interesting, whereby telling me something about people that have actually made a difference in our society.
Right.
So what do you think? How do you think the education system needs to adjust in order to educate us more about this Black Lives Matter, about Black history and things like that?
I mean, I think it's definitely going to call for us to have like a restructuring or reshuffling of the education system. I think that whereas it's great to have a month that focuses specifically on Black history, I think that we do have to have a time where we sit down and we say, why are we condensing everything into a month? When we say Black Lives Matter, so does Black history. So I personally think that we should look at reshuffling and reorganizing how we teach Black history, especially when it comes to the amount of prominent people, not just, you know, in days gone by, but who we have currently today, who's you know, making a significant impact. And we have to look at the people that are the people in charge. So we look at like who's in charge of the school system, who's in charge of the educational board. You know, I don't know if we have the right people in place to sit and you know, decide what the curriculum is going to be. So I think we need a reorganization from the top on down in terms of what we're selecting, and we should definitely make Black history, you know, a part of all history. So I think we need to step out of the Black History Month, where I think it's great that we recognize it, but it has to be ongoing after the month of February.
Great. And also, I have a little boy, a son, and raising a son and looking at how this is going on. And I was watching a show in regards to this topic recently, and I can't remember the name of the show, and the young lady was saying that this Black Lives Matter or crime against black people has been going on for a while, and she believes that this is never going to change.
Right.
Us trying to create awareness for it is good, but it doesn't look like anything is going to change because our skin color still remains the same. We're still black, we're still white, and the fact that people still feel like they're superior to the other person will still continue. How do you think we can change that perspective? What do you think we can do to educate the future generation? Because it looks like the past generation or the current generation that we have going on right now still don't get it. It's not happening. How do you think we need to educate our future people coming up after us, people that are younger than us? How do we educate them about this so this does not go on in their time?
Well, I mean, I think that the education, I think you hit it right there, the education piece. We have to create a cycle of continuous learning and teaching, and I think that learning and teaching has to come outside of the black community. So we know our history, we're learning our history, we're making it important to share it with our loved ones and to teach our children how to act in public and how to carry themselves, but it can't just be us. It can't be us anymore. I think that other races have a responsibility to educate and teach themselves on black history, because if it's just us that's sharing the message, and you and I will agree, and the rest of the world is still uninformed, they're still uneducated, they're still ignorant, we have to bring them to the table and have those uncomfortable conversations. I think uncomfortable conversations is going to be one of our keys to get to really truly move forward.
Awesome. That's really educative. Thank you so much for that, Toby. So now, coming from an African background, like I was born and raised in Nigeria before moving to the United States, and I feel like our population as African, like people that actually came from Africa to the United States or any part of the world, I believe we are not taking this conversations as serious as people that actually African American actually raised here. I know most Africans conversation will be like, just pay attention to your studies, develop a career for yourself, and you're going to be good and you're going to be alright. And I remember growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to like be a lawyer, go into the law system. And the statement my mother made was, oh, they don't really hire African American lawyers. They mostly hire the Jewish lawyers. So I don't think that's a good career for you to go into. So I believe that being African, we pay less attention to this topic. So what advice do you have for African parents, African kids, people that moved here from outside the country, in African countries? Like, what advice do you have for them in regards to this topic? What can they do to bring awareness, to let people know that this is not just for African American, this is for everybody?
I think that we have to kind of keep in mind that, when you move to another country and you're getting yourself acclimated with just living there and getting comfortable and figuring out what's going on, I think that that education piece is so important. And by no means am I saying that you should assimilate into another society, another culture, and forget your sense of who you are. But it's important to learn, okay, what's happening, because the reality of it is our skin color is still the same. Whether you're from Ghana, from Nigeria, whether you're from, there's people with our same skin color from South America. And I think that when it comes to, you have to learn, you have to teach yourself, and you have to remember that you're going to be looked at the same way by whether it's a racist person or whoever. And I think that when you come to this country, or when you keep in touch with your family members who live overseas, or you live here in the States, it's going to affect us in one way or another. So I think the education piece is just so important. You can't say that, oh, well, that's their problem. Because as you mentioned, you have a young son who's growing up here in the U.S., and he's going to experience both. He's going to experience both cultures. He's going to experience, being a Nigerian at home or at church or things of that nature. But when he goes to school, he's going to be looked at in one way or another. So I think that having those conversations with your children, with your relatives who are in the States, and just ask them, hey, what's going on? How are you? How are things going? I think the education piece affects everyone, and that's why I mentioned earlier, not just African Americans, not just white people. Africans are included in that mix too. We have to continue to educate ourselves and have those conversations.
Okay, awesome. So, what's the update on the chicken?
So here we are. We got about 4 minutes left on the timer, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull it out real quick and just give it a little shake, just to make sure it doesn't get
shake.
just a little shaky shake, just to make sure it doesn't get stuck or anything like that to the sides of the pan. And these actually look really done. So since we also have another batch of wings, plus they are going back in, I'm going to go ahead and take them out a few minutes early. And I'm going to just go ahead and put them on the side, let them breathe a little bit. You hear that flavor, that sizzle?
It's making sound.
Woo. There we go. Alright, so we're going to let that sit there for just a moment. And then we're going to go ahead and add the rest of our wings.
I'm learning because I think this is going to be awesome things to make for my kids.
Yes, and one of the things that kind of like led me to want to cook something like this, when it comes to like, I personally love chicken wings. I eat wings pretty much just my weekend treat to myself. I'm working out 5-6 days a week, so this is my cheat meal. I think it's healthier and cleaner because sometimes people add like a lot of oil and things like that to kind of coat it to give it that crispiness. But if you're just keeping it simple with your flavors, you're reducing those calories, and then you have something like an air fryer. It's really just kind of eliminating all that excess water and excess oil that you don't need.
So this is the end of the first part of this video. Like I said, we're going to be doing 2 parts because it's quite long. The topic we're discussing is a little long. So this is the end of the first. So I hope you do turn back next week to watch the ending part of this video. I will be posting every Saturday. So this Saturday, this one is going up. And next week Saturday, you will see the concluding part of this video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and don't forget to share with your friends. It's quite educative. Once again, I have brother Toby here with me, and he is shuffling it up while I'm asking the questions. This is going to be like the first time I'm going to be the one sitting down and asking the questions and not doing anything, so that's good. So yeah, so this time, there's nothing Nigerian about this dish. Like I told you, sometimes we're gonna be taking it outside of our comfort zone, alright? Alright then, see you all later. Don't forget to subscribe. Love you. Bye.